Hey Pythonauts, we're here to talk about keyboard movement today. It was a little tricky at first, but once you get it, it's not that big a deal, okay? But there are a couple of things you need to set up, okay? First thing you need to do is you need to check always while your game is running for whether you've pressed a key or not. We're going to use the arrow keys. You could use ASWD if you'd like, or something else that makes sense to you. But arrow keys make sense to me, so we're going to use those, okay? So we're going to, first of all, we're going to set up a loop, a for loop we call it, and we're going to keep checking every what they call an event in Python. Now an event is any interaction with the game at all. So if I move the mouse around, if I hit the space bar, if I click on anywhere, mouse clicks, those are all called events. And there's a running tally. It checks 30 times a second through your game to see if anything's happening, okay? So we're saying basically what I want to say is, if you press the up arrow, do this, left arrow, do this, right arrow, do this, down arrow, do that, okay? Here's how you do it in Python, okay? So first thing you do is you say this. For event in pygame.event.get, which means get all the events. Notice the colon, we got to indent, right? And it'll do it if it's okay. So we set up this variable just because I'm lazy, okay? And we're going to call it key. We could just say pygame.key.get_pressed paren, and we can use that every time, but I would prefer not to. So I'm just going to say take all that, throw that into a variable I'm going to call key, all right? Because that's K-E-Y. Rather than pygame.key.get_pressed. Okay, so I say here, if key, those were pressed it, if it is the left key. Here's how you say the left key in Python. Okay, you have left bracket, pygame dot, K_left, right bracket. All right, notice the capitalization here. Yes, it matters. Okay, and it's got to be a bracket, not a parenthesis, okay? So it's an if statement, so we're going to say colon at the end. So it, basically in English, this is just saying if somebody presses the left arrow key, here's what we're going to do, all right? So we're going to, this doesn't quite make sense if you're thinking of algebra, but in programming it makes all the sense in the world. Basically what we're saying with this equal sign is we're going to take whatever this is, and we're going to change it and make this the new value. So rasp_x is the x position of the raspberry, which is the sprite we're using, okay? So we're going to take whatever it is, subtract something from it, put it over here on the left-hand side, and make that the new position, the new x position. Now rasp speed, here's something cool about this Python thing, is that if I highlight this, it will also highlight everywhere else in the code where I've used this variable called rasp_speed, which is cool. But here's the really cool thing is if I go all the way up to the top, oh, there it is again, I actually set this variable there it is at the top to be 10. Okay, so I'm setting the speed of the raspberry to be 10. 10 what? Miles per hour? No, pixels. So every time I do this, I'm going to add or subtract 10 pixels to whatever the current position of the raspberry is. The cool thing about that, just a little side note here, is if you want to speed it up, you only have to change the value once, right up here, because we've set this variable to read 10. So if I want it slower, I could say make it 5. If I want it faster, make it 20, 30, whatever. And you only have to change it in one place. So that's free of charge. That's actually not part of this tutorial. Okay, so anyway, we go down here. So we say if we do the left arrow key, whatever the current x position of the raspberry is, subtract 10 from it and make that the new one. If we hit the right arrow key, and you'll recognize this, all the same, right? Pygame.k_right, K stands for key, by the way. Then you're going to say take the speed, which is 10, as we know, and add that to the current position and make that the new current x position. Okay, now think back to 4th grade or whenever you did those graphs with x and y coordinates, okay? Finally, there's a use for them, okay? And the use is this. remember in the number line, if you're doing your X to the right, it goes up. To the left, it goes down, right? Same with the Y position, except you start at the top. 0 is at the top, and as you go down, the numbers get greater, and as you go up, the numbers get smaller. And so I realize that's kind of crazy, but I'm going to demonstrate that in a second, okay? So you'll notice that. So if you hit the right key, add 10, which means 10 more. Okay, if you hit the up arrow key, where whatever the Y position is, you're going to subtract, because as you're going up, the numbers get smaller, remember? Conversely, if you go down, right, you're going to add that. Now, okay, that's just a lot of code and a lot of words. Let's watch it happen. And I've got a display up in the upper left, which is going to show you the X and Y position as it changes of the raspberry, which I hope will help. Okay, so we're going to run this. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's a raspberry. Okay, so notice I'm going to try to avoid the alien while I'm doing this. As I go up, see the Y position change. It's getting smaller, 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 right? Up to 0. As I go down, it gets larger, 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 larger. Okay, now I'm going to do the X position. Notice it gets smaller as I go left arrow, down, 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 down. If I go right arrow, it's going to get, and notice it goes by how much? 10. Why? Because that's what we set the speed to be, right? Okay, so right, left, change the X. Right, left, Y, up, down, move over, don't hit the alien. Up, down, okay, down goes up, the number goes down, okay? That's how you do keyboard movement. Okay, really simple. Okay, have fun with it. Talk to you soon.